2011 saw the release of Monster High's Fright On, the second and last 2D animated film produced by Mattel. It aired in the United States on Nickelodeon the day before Halloween. The conflict follows two groups of students from rival schools as they merge with Monster High. We see the introduction of a number of new characters like Abby Abominable, Operetta, Spectre Vondergeist, Jackson Jackal, Heath Burns, and many more. We will only continue to grow the cast as the films continue. Directed by Otto Pedan, Alfred Gimeno, and Vic Dalchel, and produced by Becky Bristow, Ira Singerman, Shannon Nettleton, and Howard Schwartz. IMDb gives this film a score of 6.9 out of 10. The film begins with the mandatory intro accompanied by Fright song. Scenes from the film and webisodes flash by in rapid succession before ending on the title card that reads, Monster High, Fright On. In the mall where we lay our scene, two houses, both alike in dignity. In this case, the vampires from Belfry Prep and the werewolves of Crescent Moon High. They obviously don't get along as we can see them making eyes at each other, which only now makes me think that this was a missed opportunity for an enemies to lovers storyline. Like, could you imagine? Anyway, Frankie is meeting up with the ghouls for a new movie, but Draculaura is late.
Thanks, Fooya. Where is she? We're gonna miss Twihard 4 Abs of Entry.
Toralei, accompanied by Persephone and Meowlody, reminds the ghouls that they're not friends. The werecats have since become the resident mean girls since Cleo stepped down.
You could save you a spot in line. Really? We could, but we won't. Spoiler alert, we're not friends.
Draculaura shows up. She had to stop for a shopping emergency. She shows off the goods, and we can see one of them is her school's out outfit. And can I just say, I love the school's out looks. Monster High really knows how to do a glow-up look.
She'll be here soon. There was an emergency. I hope she's okay. And the emergency was... Aren't these fabulous? Last minute sale. The savings worth to die for.
The ghouls then go to get in line, where a bunch of other students are already lined up. The vamps and werewolves that begin muttering and laughing at Draculaura and Claude. Claude, our exposition for the moment, tells the ghouls that they don't believe their kind should intermingle, which just like, oof, that's a serious topic right there for children's media. Not that children's media don't handle topics like these all the time.
What are they muttering about? Yeah, and why are they looking at Draculaura?
Because she's with me. They don't believe that our kind should be friends. That's why they go to vampire and werewolf only school.
Laguna tries chiming in, but Frankie talks over her and reminds the monsters that yes, Drac and Claude are together, and it's no big deal. Then Laguna finishes her thought, saying they were probably laughing at the whole last toilet paper roll stuck to Draculaura's shoe. She buries her face in her boyfriend's chest.
Yeah, these two are a couple, so what? Actually, I think they were looking at that. But not anymore.
And can I just say, Claude might not have been my gay awakening, but it was an awakening nonetheless. Rest in peace to the other little gay boys who also fell hard for the Masters of Monster High. We were really going through it.
Be who you are for your pride.
The usher removes the velvet rope and the students stampede into the theater, trampling the ghouls and Claude. They decide to see a later showing as we transition to Monster High.
There's no way I'm sitting behind a vampire.
Watch it for a couple. Maybe we should see a later show.
We see Laguna with her new boyfriend, Gil Weber. He's a freshwater monster. Frankie and Drac come out of their dead languages class complaining as Headmistress Bloodgood, amazing name by the way, calls for an assembly.
Is it me or do all the dead languages sound like coughing? Quotes! Mr. Rogers, repeat after me!
Very good, Draculaura. But remember who you are.
Attention students, would everyone please make their way to the Vampletheater for a special announcement?
We see Howling, Claudine, and Claude's little sister as she's bumped by others trying to get to the assembly hall. Abby, daughter of the Yeti, wonders what all the hubbub is about. Deuce is just happy they're out of class, and Spectra, our local bochinchera, says it's going to be as big as she phases through Manny Tar, the Minotaur, another crush of mine from my childhood.
I wonder what this is about. Yes, what all this pageantry?
Hey, as long as we're missing class, I'm cool.
My sources tell me it's going to be epic.
Claudine and Howling have some good old-fashioned sibling banter, leaving Claudine fuming. Miss Crabapple comes on stage to say Bloodgood has an announcement. She rides in on stage on her horse Nightmare. She begins talking about how their school is the first of its kind and represents the diversity and acceptance that Monster High strives for. That's why they're taking in the students of Belfry Prep and Crescent Moon High.
School board has decided to expand Monster High.
Expand? Huh?
Starting Monday, we will be opening our doors to the vampires from Belfry Prep and the werewolves of Crescent Moon High.
She continues talking, but the students are already muttering amongst themselves, unsure how this will go given their long history. She then says that she's chosen the fear-leading team to help welcome the new students.
A group of students, the ones with the most ghoul spirit, to form a welcoming committee.
I wonder who those poor souls are.
The fear-leading team.
In the gymnasium, Cleo is busy readying posters of herself to show the new kids that she's the HBIC. Claudine and Drax suggest Frankie should lead them then, since she's more of a neutral party.
We sparking to this? Me? Leader? Well, I've never... Oh, wow. This is voltageous.
Frankie tells the ghouls their friendship was able to grow because of how welcoming Monster High is. Laguna chimes in saying Gil and her are able to be together, and Gil says his parents can't change him. This exact same dynamic will be rehashed several times between these two, often with Gil becoming more spineless over time.
I hate you so much.
Frankie tells them she's going to need some help, and in walks my favorite ghoul, Abby, cracking a joke.
I don't think we should get too close, in case there's trouble. Well, I won't let anything go wrong, but I'm gonna need some help.
Need a hint? Ha, I make joke.
We transition over to the next day. Frankie wakes up in her dead tired pajamas, and we see the return of the Glitterati. We then see Cleo, also in her dead tired outfit, getting ready when her older sister Nephra walks in and makes a joke at her expense.
Dad says come down for breakfast. Is that what you're wearing? That wasn't even fashionable when I was in school.
Get out of my room, Nephra! No.
Then it's Claudine, trying to get into the bathroom to get ready, and out walks Howleen wearing Claudine's sunglasses. Then it's Draculaura on the phone and Laguna in her hydration station. At school, the ghouls are ready to welcome the new students. Abby made a sign. The kids arrive. One of the vamps mistake Cleo for a valet, which upsets her and makes me laugh.
Okay, everyone, places!
I hope there's not a scuffle. Better go greet my subjects. I am Cleo. You may bestow your...
Just park it around back. Thanks.
Almost immediately, they start bickering. Frankie tries smoothing things over and points to Claudine and Drac as an example, which they're uncomfortable with. Romulus, apparent leader of his pack, calms the werewolves and leads them inside.
Laura and Claudine, they're best friends.
Best friends?
Frankie, I don't like how they're looking at us. So angry.
Easy, easy. Pack, let's head inside. No reason to start trouble on our first day.
The vamps stare at Frankie. She tells them they don't need to be scared. Gory Fangtel tells her they're not scared, and Draculaura says they need to be invited in. She does so and leads them into the school.
You don't have to be afraid of them. Monster High is a safe place.
Oh, aren't you something? We're not scared.
They have to be invited in. Old vampire rule. Please, follow me.
You'd think since Frankie asked for help, the ghouls would have prepared her on vampire and werewolf customs, but no? Okay then. Gory and Bram discuss how she doesn't know anything about them, and eventually Frankie will learn. We cut to mad science class, and Mr. Hackington is leading the students in an experiment. Heath Burns, bored out of his mind, decides to heat things up and accidentally unleashes an eldritch abomination that spits up goo on him and flies out the window as the bell rings, dismissing the class.
Hey, what do you say we get things cooking?
She's right, Heath. Mr. Hack said it had to heat up slowly.
Cool your jets, I got this.
Wow, this is going to be a catastrophe.
Oh, holy flame retardants!
In the hall, Cleo is telling Frankie she will not allow the new kids on the fear-leading team, especially Gory. Frankie tries reasoning with the mummy, but to no avail. Instead, she manipulates her by preying on her weakness, her vanity. This causes Cleo to relent as long as they remember who's in charge. At fear-leading practice, Gory and some vamps show up, with Gory trying to take charge since she was fear-leading captain at her Belfry Prep. Cleo isn't having any of it, and they put it up to a vote. Gory notices that Draculaura didn't vote for her and calls her a traitor.
Favor of me.
You don't vote for your own kind, vamp-stabbing traitor.
All in favor of me.
On the other side of the gym, Claude and Romulus are playing a game of basketball with Claude winning. The two are childhood friends and are catching up. When the vampires come in for practice, they choose to play on the other side rather than play with the werewolves, even after Claude invited them to play.
And get warmed up, and we can start practice.
No, that's cool. We'll play on the other side.
All right, suit yourself.
Honestly, at this point, it seems the vampires go out of their way more often to antagonize or further conflict between the two groups. For the werewolves, they just treat the situation as weird and uncomfortable at most.
Dracula.
Oh, wow, you're ghoul, huh? That's, cool. Hey, real nice to meet you.
Also, Romulus looks like a grown man. I can buy Claude as a teen, even with the facial hair. When I was in school, some kids just had facial hair. But something about the way Romulus was drawn makes him look like he's in his mid-30s. In the hall, the ghouls are discussing how the integration isn't going well, with Cleo commenting they don't know she should be in charge. Frankie and Drac try reassuring the others. Ghoulia stops and points out something. Here we learn that A, the vamps are turning the zombies into their personal servants, and 2, Abby doesn't speak zombie. Cleo then drops her books on Ghoulia's hands and walks off.
What does smart zombie moan about? She says that the vampires are an aristocratic class of monster. They establish their dominance by procuring minions to do their bidding. And most zombies are easily manipulated.
Here, my arms are tired. Time for class.
Claudine goes to grill her sister about borrowing her stuff without permission again.
Hang on a sec.
Pauline, what did I tell you about borrowing my stuff without asking?
It's just lipstick. You don't even wear it.
That's not the point.
Claudine vents to the others and Frankie tells her she's just finding herself. Claudine stops them. Apparently one of the hallways have been marked by the werewolves.
Fine, stop. Stay.
We can't go down this hall. The werewolves have marked it as their territory. Trust me, you don't want to go in there.
Tensions are rising between the factions as a group of werewolves and vamps trade insults. In Headmistress Bloodgood's office, Frankie and Abby discuss the issue, with Frankie suggesting a dance to ease the tension. They decide to host the party on neutral turf, the cemetery.
Let their guards down. Ooh, a dance!
Ooh, they'll listen to music, have some punch. Isn't that a great idea, Miss Crabgrass?
Oh, yes. Bang up job, Francie. Frankie.
We see the ghouls in their school's outlooks, but that does little to help the sour mood. Frankie suggests Claude and Draculaura dance to get things started.
He's dancing. Everybody's afraid to be first. Claude, Draculaura, go dance. Kick things off.
It doesn't help, but then Abby intervenes and just starts pairing monsters up. Frankie suggests to the others to start pairing people up.
Must be a nudge. Yo! Dance with her!
This really gets the party started.
Come on, dude, we can't let them beat us!
Beat us at what?
Anything!
Frankie takes off Jackson's sensory headphones, which honestly kinda mid-behavior, just to have Holdhide show up and DJ the party. Bloodgood tells Frankie that things are looking up, but we see that Miss Crabgrass is calling someone named Administrator Van Helscream. He shows up the next day. Apparently he's famous for his work with monster-normie relations. Always be wary of a celebrity activist. Anyway, as Bloodgood tells him of the good they're doing with their integration program, he pulls out a mysterious box, and we see Crabgrass lock the door. Something happens, and we cut to Frankie and Abby outside the office.
Yes, about that.
We hear a commotion inside, and Frankie peeks inside to see Bloodgood, Van Helscream, and something covered in its harp.
What's going on in there? Headmistress Bloodgood?
Yes, Francie?
Helscream introduces himself, and Frankie says their roles are similar. Bloodgood then quickly adds she's disbanding the welcoming committee immediately.
I'm disbanding the welcoming committee. Job well done.
What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean?
Frankie and Abby are talking with Laguna and Gil about it. Abby says it all started when Van Helscream showed up.
As we have saying, when stranger come with many gifts in one bag, he has many secrets in other.
I have no idea what that means, but something doesn't add up.
We then get Cleo venting to Ghoulia about Gory.
The zombies wait on her hand and foot. Thanks, Ghoulia. I could use a touch-up. Now, come on. We have to stop that ghoul before she overthrows me.
We get a montage of Van Helscream sowing seeds of discord amongst the werewolves and vampires, like he insinuated that Claude and Draculaura don't belong together. He tells Howleen, after Claudine snatched back her brush, that he collects monster artifacts.
Monster artifacts. I'm a bit of a collector. They help me better understand all of you wonderful souls.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Then we see Howleen get assaulted in the school bathroom by some vamps and cut away to Frankie and Abby in Bloodgood office. Nightmare is chained to the wall and artifacts litter the room. Frankie finds the box and we learn it contains Gorgon powder. Then Bloodgood shows up and Frankie asks her if Hellscream's method seems odd to her. Bloodgood assures her he is qualified, and Frankie and Abby rush out as Bloodgood yells at Nightmare. This causes Frankie to realize that is not Bloodgood. Claudine finds Howleen covered in bruises and her hair a mess. She tries asking her about it, but she yells at her and storms off.
Hey, what happened to you, little sis?
I don't want to talk about it.
Did somebody start something with you? Need me to finish it?
Why? So you can remind everyone I'm not as good as you? Just leave me alone. I don't need your help.
She's sitting outside the school when Romulus comes up to her and begins talking to her about owning who she is and to be proud of herself. We cut to Manny chasing someone down the hall, and he gets stopped by the lunch lady. Flip over to Frankie telling the ghouls about Bloodgood. She even shows them the new textbooks being used. While I agree it's not helpful, that doesn't mean it shouldn't be taught, unless the textbook purposely paints both parties in a way that fuels the other's prejudices, but usually there is a bias one way or the other.
I know it looks like her, but she doesn't act like her. What is she acting like? I don't know. Weird. She's just weird. Plus, have you seen the new history books? It's all about the werewolf-vampire wars. Bloodgood would never allow that, stirring up all that bad blood between them.
When Draculaura sees Claude, she runs up. She's been missing spending time with him lately. He's always with Romulus and Dee. She asks if he can come with them on their new outing, but Claude says it's just the guys. Drac is sad but understanding. She runs into Gory and Bram, who try to comfort her.
You don't deserve to be treated like that.
Especially not from them.
You deserve to be treated with respect. You're a vampire. You rule over all other monsters.
And see, here is why I don't think this issue is really if both sides are wrong. When vamps clearly have a vampire supremacist vibe going on versus the wolves just want to have some solidarity and feel proud of their heritage. Anyway, outside the school is gathered for a statue unveiling. Frankie notices Bloodgood drink from the fountain with her finger, and this added with other things like calling her Francie. She deduces it's Miss Crabgrass.
She called me Francie, Nightmare is scared of her, and she drank with her... It's Crabgrass.
Howleen then pulls the tarp to reveal a strange-looking statue of Bloodgood. The ghouls realize that that's the real Bloodgood. He then tells the students that the scholastic superintendents will come and judge how their integration plan is going.
This is the worst!
Cut to Claude and the boys playing basketball. Romulus is trying to get inside his head, make him turn away from Draculaura. Claude feels weird about the whole thing, unsure about his childhood friend now. Cleo is with Ghoulia and Deuce, still trying to compete with Gory in every little way.
Deuce, you are so funny!
Ghoulia's right. I don't know why you, feel you have to compete with
Have you two even met me?
Frankie comes up and asks Deuce about turning people to stone. He isn't sure about them reverting back, but says he'll ask his mom about it.
Hey, Deuce, so you've turned a lot of people to stone, right?
I don't know about a lot.
Is there any way to, unturn them?
I don't know. I've never heard of any. It wears off sometimes, but you don't ever know when. Sometimes it lasts for years. Let me ask my mom. She'll know for sure.
She runs off, and Cleo drags Deuce with her to follow Gory and do everything they do, but do it better. Ghoulia reluctantly follows. Howleen is seen entering the custodian's closet. She drags out a fan and uses it to blow garlic into the hall full of vampires, which, is that not biological warfare? Honey, you're violating the Geneva Convention.
Garlic totally gives vampires mega monster zits.
She gets caught by Hackington, who sends her to Hellscream, who, instead of disciplining her, rewards her with a chance to join the new cultural group at school, Wear Pride. He somehow makes taking pride in your history sound terrifying, which, yeah, I can see how someone can use it to justify some pretty heinous stuff. We transition over to Frankie meeting Deuce by the Bloodgood statue. He tells her his mom said that they can revert it with the rare powder administered under the light of the full moon. Frankie realizes it's the powder from Hellscream's box. We then get Frankie asking Spectra if she can help cause Hellscream to leave his office with a fake story, but Spectra isn't too sure.
Office for 5 minutes so we can sneak in and grab that powder and save Bloodgood.
I don't know. Planting a fake story could ruin my reputation.
She might be a gossip, but she has standards.
As if.
Then we get the vamps marching down the hall, carrying signs and shouting VAM power, which is awfully close to white power for my taste. Again, very clear distinctions that this feud is not equal on both sides. Either way, things are not looking good, and they're able to convince Spectra to help them, even though she really wanted to cover the possible chaos. Cut to Claude and Drac trying to find time to hang out, but they end up arguing instead, and that devolves into them breaking up, and Drac running out of the class. Romulus then walks in, trying to tell Claude it's for the better, but he feels wrong about it. Howleen is in the halls handing out flyers for Wear Pride, and runs to see if Claudine wants to join. Claudine isn't having it and wants better for her sister, taking the flyers as Howleen storms off and Frankie enters. She asks Claudine for help, but the wolf says she's too busy. Then Drac comes in, sees the flyers in Claudine's hands, and assumes the worst, running away again in tears. Later, Bram and Gory take advantage of her vulnerable state and try to get her to join the Vampowerment movement. Frankie tries to get her, but they won't let her down the vampire-claimed hall. Then she gets a text and says she knows Drac will make the right choice. In the meantime, Hellscream and Crabgrass are making their way to stop what they think is a counter-movement.
Students in the gym plotting to stop the cultural groups. We'll just see about that.
Abby speaks into an earpiece to Frankie updating her and breaks into Headmistress Bloodgood's office. When Hellscream and Crabgrass realize they've been had, they turn around but are held up when Laguna sends piranhas to attack them. In the office, Nightmare shows Frankie where the powder is and she steals it.
They approach.
Got it!
Now how did they not see her? That was like a second before they walked up. Off screen doesn't mean out of sight. Anyway, mission successful. Draculora gets a text telling her to meet Claude that night, and Howleen gets one saying the vamps are up to something that night too. That night, Frankie uses the powder to turn back Bloodgood when Drac and Howleen show up. Then suddenly they're trapped in a cage by Hellscream.
Come on! Then Hellscream!
Next we see he's tied the cage over a boiling pit of tentacle. A bit overkill in my opinion. He begins monologuing about his plan to lure the vamps and werewolves into a fight by kidnapping Drac and Howleen. He's made a name for himself amongst monsters by stoking the flames of hatred between them, because if the marginalized are fighting amongst themselves, they don't have time to face the real oppressors, normies.
He thinks as long as he's afraid. Because he's afraid. He thinks as long as monsters are fighting each other, they wouldn't be any threat to the humans.
But Monster High's very existence is a wrench in his plans, and he wants to prevent other schools from adopting their policies. He exits after summoning a flying monster to cut their chains. Later in the halls, we see the werewolves and vampires agree to meet at sundown for a fight. Then we see Claude approach Romulus about Drac being kidnapped by the werewolves, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. Then he gives him an ultimatum to figure out which side he's on. With the trapped ghouls, Abby steps up to help them escape using her ice powers.
These bars are old, brittle, like bones of Great Uncle Frostovich. What are you waiting for? Invitation?
In the halls, a worried Claudine runs up to Claude asking if he's seen Howleen, and he says the werewolves don't have Drac. Claudine realizes that Frankie was trying to warn her all along and drags Claude with her to help find the ghouls. In the catacombs, the ghouls are having Howleen use their sense of smell to navigate their way out. Back up top, Claude sniffs out the ghouls in the catacombs, and together with his sister, they head down. They've run into Operetta, daughter of the Phantom of the Opera, who can help them not get lost down there.
Somebody who knows that place backwards and forwards, who is familiar with every nook and cranny.
Where are we gonna find someone like that right now?
I'm your Huckleberry.
We then get a heartfelt moment where Cleo apologizes to Gulia and tells her how much she appreciates her.
I'm back. Gulia, I'm sorry. I know sometimes I take you for granted. I guess it's because you've always been there, but I want you to know how much your friendship means to me.
She's an icon, she's a legend, and she is the moment. Now come on now.
In the catacombs, Operetta is guiding the wolf siblings along, hoping that the lost schools haven't woken up the Scargoyles.
Emotional vibrations in here's all cattywampus. I just hope they ain't woken up the Scargoyles. Scargoyles?
We see they've woken up the Scargoyles. The monsters chase them into a dead end, and Abby uses her powers again to momentarily save them. Drac and Howleen apologize to each other for how they've been acting. Then Drac uses her powers to control some bats to help them. It's scarcely enough, and they prepare to meet their maker when Operetta and the older wolf siblings show up saving them. At the school, the warring factions prepare to fight, with the other students claiming they can't bear to watch.
Oh boy, I can't bear to watch.
Me neither.
Yet you all conveniently showed up to the gym. How curious. The ghouls show up in time for Frankie to give a speech about acceptance and tolerance, and how Hellscream tried to put a stop to all that. Cut to Hellscream and Crabgrass greeting the Scholastic Superintendents, thinking they're about to walk into a bloodbath.
A tiny amount of friction between some of the groups here. I do hope you won't let them affect your decision on whether or not to keep Monster High open.
Surprise, surprise!
But instead, we are greeted to the side of a party. The superintendents declare it a success and give the program their stamp of approval before leaving. This gives the monsters a chance to confront Hellscream and Crabgrass. He threatens them, but Cleo calmly walks up and introduces her boyfriend.
Oh, Administrator Van Hellscream, before you leave, let me introduce you to my boyfriend.
Pleased to meet you.
For a monster expert, you'd think he would know a Gorgon when he saw one. And with that, all's well that ends well. We see everyone making up and reconciling their differences as generic party music plays and the movie comes to a close. What a wild concept for a movie. I need to know what was going on in the writer's room when they pitched this idea. It's not bad per se, it's actually quite a nuanced topic for children, but it definitely wasn't handled with the care it needed to represent the message. I love getting to meet new characters every movie. It's such a treat. Although no one can top my ghoul Abby, she gets the funniest lines. Also, Headmistress Bloodgood is one of my favorite adults from the series. She is Mother. Overall, I like the realness of the sibling rivalry between Holly and Claudine. It be like that sometimes. The way they made up was sweet, although this is another plot point that will be rehashed later on. That's all I have to say though. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, leave a like, and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Bye!
Bye!